So a couple key features that EnCase wants to highlight, and then I'll show you the screenshots. They have a description suite that's EDS. It provides the ability to decrypt supported full disk and volume encryption, encrypted registry entries also. It has a wide variety of those tools built in, whereas something like FTK has a separate install that you actually work from. It does a physical disk emulator, so that you can take an image file and you can run that image file, and literally it will boot it like it would in VMware. You have a virtual file system module that mounts evidence files as an offline network share in your Windows, so that you can actually say, hey, I'm going to store that in a network location and I'm going to reach into it like it was just network files. And then it's got FastBlock Software Edition that has software write blockers built into it, so that if you've got any removable device and you're doing preview, let's say you're on site at this moment in time and you don't have a write blocker on hand, you can say, hey, I'm going to check out this image, I'm going to preview it and say, and they go, oh, well, we've only got like 15 minutes. Here, quick, go ahead and get us whatever you can get us. You turn on the fast block, and what it will do is allow you to forensically examine and do listings on that and say, okay, here's the files that we need. What's the name of the what's the name of the case that we're doing? Oh, what kind of stuff? Oh, this is a drug case. Okay, let me type in all the different variables for drugs. Let me quick list that and see if I can pull any contents that way without disturbing the evidence. And then you say, okay, well, then this is definitely we want to copy these particular files off to a local drive. You've got that software write blocker there. You know how I feel about software write blockers. Okay. What do you pay a premium for? I mean, a lot of those other things are done for other vendors out there, and you can buy those tools off the shelf. Well, let's talk about it. EnCase is the file format of choice except for AFF. It does a wrapper on the outside of a header, a checksum. It does data blocks and a footer that's not included inside the file but is wrapped around that EnCase file. This evidence file format is unique to EnCase. Everybody else reads those particular EnCase files, but they can't create them nearly as well as EnCase. By the way, they can do every byte verification at 32-bit CRC, which is really, really intense amount of error correction to make sure that we don't lose any bits whatsoever. So this is almost tamper-proof. It does some pretty amazing advanced searching out there. Proximity, internet and email addresses. It actually does a really good job of using grep. If you are a grep person or a regular expressions person, this is probably one of the tools for you. If you're not familiar with regular expressions, there is a great O'Reilly book on regular expressions and teaching and learning them. It goes through the process pretty well. I kind of like it. I'm more of a find and replace word kind of guy, but I've had to get better and better at grep as I've gone along. It does Unicode, and then here's another little trick that it does is big endian Unicode. So sometimes when you're reading files out of a particular machine in hex, it's actually reversed. It's flipped around, and so you need to be able to realize that it is inverted, and the tool actually does that for you on those particular file systems. It has MD5 hashing, and it has MD5 hash sets so that we can separate out different chunks of the data and say this data that we examined, not the whole drive, but this data that we examined actually has an MD5 hash signature against it, and we can prove that it's consistent from the time that we retrieved it to the time that we actually presented it in court, so we didn't mess around with the evidence while we were going. There's also a database out there, the National Software Reference Library, for all of the CP that's out there. Remember, what we don't want to do is we don't want to look at those particular images because it is illegal. So what we do is we take a hash value of all of those images, or each one of those images, and we compare that against the National Software Reference Library. And that's 11 gigabytes of files that are 11 gigabytes of hash values, not even the files, but the hash values that it can compare against. And that's continually being updated on the outside, and your tool recognizes that. So that's a really nice feature of the MD5 hashing. It has its own boot disk, but everybody's got their own boot disk out there, but this boot disk will work on another machine and you can shove in that USB key to unlock it. We can recover files and folders from NTFS formatted files. These files and folders are searchable in the unallocated clusters and looks inside of the master file table. By the way, if there's a corruption in the structure, it'll actually automatically rebuild the formatting structure of NTFS. Next, we're going to look at some of the screenshots of EnCase, and then I've got a little thing at the end that's a little bit different for you that might help you in the future.